Hello, my name is JJ Lai, and I will be presenting on Katsushika Hokusai's Tako to Ama, The Dream of the Fisherman's Wife. Tako to Ama, The Dream of the Fisherman's Wife, also referred to as The Octopus and the Girl Diver, was an ukiyo-e woodblock print created by the famous artist Katsushika Hokusai in 1814. It is considered a landscape painting using color woodcut, and its dimensions are 7.4 inches by 10.6 inches. It is recognized internationally and includes styles, techniques, and motifs that depict Japanese iconographies and thoughts during the Edo period. It was in the book Kinoe no Komatsu, which translates to Young Pines, which is a 3-volume book of shunga erotica first published in 1814. This woodblock print design was in the nikuhitsuka form of ukiyo-e art. My thesis is The Dream of the Fisherman's Wife is a significant testament to the development of the woman's autonomy and her sexual powers, experiences, and imagination during the Edo period. This thesis will be further explored more throughout the presentation. Ukiyo-e woodblock prints, movements, and thoughts. The Dream of the Fisherman's Wife was in the nikuhitsuka form of ukiyo-e art style, where the movement expressed idealization of urban lifestyles and appealed to all the classes in Edo, Japan. There were intrigues in the lives of the courtesans and actors, which allowed for the ukiyo-e woodblock prints to become even more popular. One of the most favored subjects of paintings were scenes of sexual activities involving the courtesans at the houses of pleasure in the early 17th century. This increased the production on the depictions of private life, specifically sexual relationships and interactions, which impacted societal thoughts and views on these dynamics and practices. Then, in the early 19th century, Katsushika Hokusai brought the art of ukiyo-e back to landscape views with varieties of subjects and designs. Hokusai transformed the art form of ukiyo-e from a style of portraiture focused on the courtesans and popular actors into a much broader style of art that focused on landscapes, plants, and animals. Shunga was a Japanese term for erotic prints. It directly translates to picture of spring, where spring is a common euphemism for sex. Shunga was believed to have originated from China. Most shunga were created by ukiyo-e artists, including members of the Kano school. The Edo period shunga aimed to offer sexuality as a shameless visual platform where sexual pleasures, female sexuality, homosexuality, and spectrums of fetishes were not only acknowledged but encouraged. These depictions were reflective of the shonin's sexual mores during the Edo period. The shunga images often emphasized facial expression of joy and satisfaction and featured exaggerated genitals on males and females. Its primary use were for viewing and sharing the paintings or books with close friends or sexual partners, with the purpose to provide entertainment, sexual guidance, or even charms for protection. This means that shunga was a personal property owned by people of all types from different classes, and thus most likely normalized by commoners in society. There were wide ranges of interests in shunga in this period, as it was not simply for stimulating sexual desire, but aimed to depict a wide range of aspects of sexuality. There are a considerable number of sources from Edo period that suggests that women too were fans of shunga. Shunga was banned by the Japanese shogunate in 1722, but its production and popularity did not stop, and they were still accessible. In the late 19th and 20th century, shunga was denounced again and eventually led to the genre and subject being a taboo within contemporary Japanese culture. The impacts of shunga art served as a testament that impacted the Western arts and reflected the open-mindedness, originality, creativity, and honesty from Japanese artists during the Edo period. In Tako to Ama, or The Dream of the Fisherman's Wife, the woman is shown lying with her head inclined back towards the left side of the frame and her black hair pulled up and tied back. On the right, the larger octopus is performing cunnilingus, keeping the woman's body in place with its tentacles wrapped around her legs, torso, and arm. The smaller octopus can be seen beside her cheek, kissing her mouth and holding her breasts. On both sides of the group, there appears to be rocks in the background areas filled with tightly distributed texts detailing the story and the dialogues between the octopus and the woman. The octopus informs the beautiful maiden that he will be bringing her to an undersea palace. The play is a whirlwind of imagination, fantasy, and sexuality between a woman and her sea lovers as they converse happily and playfully. Historical, cultural, and artistic analysis of the painting. Sexuality in Japan has developed separately from their Asiatic neighbors, as Japan did not adopt the Confucian view of marriage or gender roles. Monogamy in marriage was not prized in Japan, as married men sought pleasure from their courtesans, which the wives were in agreement of. The ama has been interpreted to reference Tamatori Hime, who was a princess. Ama are traditional Japanese pearl divers, exclusively female. The legend marks her as a hero who retrieved the infamous pearl from the dragon god of the sea, Ryujin. Her story was depicted a lot during Japan's Edo period, as it symbolized Ama, the female diver falling in love with the sea. Hokusai's painting can be interpreted as the female sexual empowerment. The work of erotic art was common, yet was a radical form of thought that contradicted Japanese traditional standards on gender roles. With the context of modern day Japanese pornography and the sex industry, the message of this image can seem complicated because of the fact that the modern ideas of pornographic media is obviously known for its history of suppression, exploitation, and over sexualization, etc., of women and men. That is not the message depicted in Hokusai's painting. Although shunga may look vulgar, there is a lot of symbolism in the pictures. In some shungas, the pictures of plum flowers are present to symbolize virginity, and tissues symbolize upcoming ejaculation. In these scenes, characters can be developed and texts can help to support the scenes of the images, which attests to the idea that this painting is not showing non-consensual activities or sexual exploitation of the woman. In fact, it is the opposite, where the Ama seems to be enjoying her activities with the octopi, as supported by her facial expression and the playful dialogue. The texts and the poetry in the work speaks to the level of playfulness and enjoyment of both parties. The woman also appeared relaxed, entwined, but in no way restrained, as her hands gripped two of the larger arms that loosely hold her. It is to symbolize sexual sensations as they are experienced by the woman. Shunga was primarily commissioned by males of the ruling class, which could prove that it was generally for the male view, but shunga and ukiyo-e art was available and enjoyed by people of all classes. The popularity of this print and other shunga art would prove that fantasies, eroticas, and imaginations were normal during the Edo period, and the substitution of the octopi instead of a male partner is meant to be playful yet intentional. The absence of a male person shows that the power and the focus of the sexual pleasure is on the female, which was a new thought in Japan that became innovated by artists like Hokusai. The lack of the male presence is irrelevant in this scene, which fuels the female sexual powers and imagination. Modern scholars have interpreted this work as assault or non-consensual due to the modern-day tentacle erotica and shunga art depicting non-consensual sex at times. But there are dangers in making cultural and societal assumptions using modern sexuality and personal biases to address the Edo contexts of the work. The understanding and knowledge of sex must be based on the time period in order to discuss it fully. 18th century shunga wished to represent sex as pleasurably shared and mutually sustaining. Shunga was not only preserved for male audience or male enjoyment, but was enjoyed by women as well. This proves that there is an existence of approval of female sexual desires and practice in Edo Japan. In conclusion, Hokusai was skillful in capturing female pleasure as the positions of the woman's body, her facial expressions, and the inclusion of playful texts worked to highlight female sexuality and autonomy. This was also to inspire the viewer's own flights of fantasy. Studying more about shunga art and this particular work of Hokusai in Asian art history can allow better insights on contemporary Japanese art and its impacts on modern thoughts on sexual media. It could also lead to more thoughts and discussions on the sexual autonomy of women, which is gaining its popularity today, as Asia is traditionally a patriarchal society that usually depicts women in arts as objects of the male gaze. This is the works cited page. Thank you.